If you're looking to start a podcast and don't know where to begin, feel free to download my free ebook, The Side Gig Podcast Guide, to help you build a quality podcast on a low budget. Link is in the bio. Go ahead and click it. Welcome to the Black Gold Podcast. Today with me, I have Shaun Banks. He is the founder of You Can Have It All conference. It's a conference that focuses on teaching and empowering youth that they can have it all and they can follow their dreams. And also, you are the founder of Camp Warrior King, and that is a summer camp program where you take children from different cities around where you are in Georgia, and you guys go hunting, camping, and you also do some fishing and stuff like that. So, Shaun, welcome to the show.
Moses, thank you for having me, man.
You're welcome. So, how did you end up starting You Can Have It All? What was the thing that you would say really pushed you?
Well, it was, I've been in youth development for a while. Once we started the You Can Have It All conferences, and what I noticed in the kids was just there's just a huge need for personal development in youth, kids ages 5 to 15. So, they're playing sports, they're doing all these different things, but there's just a big need for improvement of focus, self-confidence, and self-efficacy, really. And the difference really was between self-confidence and self-efficacy is, self-confidence is the idea that I am, right? I am somebody. And self-efficacy is the idea of I can do, right? I can do something. I can accomplish this. And when we just saw that there was a huge need for that. And so I started the conferences.
So, when did you guys start the conference?
As far as the year,
Is it,
just
yeah, the year, yeah.
we 2002, see my senior since 2013, so we're talking 2016, 2017. About that time is when we started doing the youth conferences.
So, 2016 is when you guys
Mm-hmm.
started doing the youth conferences.
That
Would
time.
you say that there's anything around that time that really made wanted you guys to start it then, or was it something that's been in the process of? I think you said 2013 is also a time when you guys were like thinking about it, but it was launched in 2016. Is that correct?
That's correct. So we started seeing the need for it before then, and what we were doing at our camps is, the camps became a motivational development camp where, we wanted to inspire kids and expose them to activities and things they normally wouldn't experience during the school year. And by 2016, 2017, around that time, we started, opening the conferences up to other camps, other schools, other cities, things like that. Before, it was just something we were doing, with the kids that we had at our programs. We want to open it up, give more kids exposure to the opportunity.
So would you say that there was someone that like guided you into creating this conference? Did you have a mentor of any?
I had a lot of mentors that I had followed throughout the years, just different people that I admire, people like Dexter Yeager, George Halsey. Then there are, I guess, more famous people you think about, like a Les Brown or Jim Rohn or Tony Robbins or Zig Ziglar, people like that, that, just inspired me in my own life in different ways. And I recognized that there was just a huge need for youth. And because the knowledge and the information is the same, it's applicable to anybody just doing it on a level where they can understand it. And with so much exposure to social media and TV and just how the world is changing, kids need to be, they need that development with the suicide rates as high as they are. There's just a huge need for kids to believe in themselves and to believe that they're needed and wanted and have a purpose.
Yeah, and especially that purpose part, because it makes you feel as if you are part of something bigger than yourself and that you are a contributing member rather than someone that's simply just mooching off of other people.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
When you started your You Can Have It All conference, were there any challenges that you encountered in terms of setting up venues, events, that sort of thing?
Absolutely. There are challenges every year. There's a series of challenges. The challenges don't go away. The Like right now, the biggest challenge is that can't get all the kids together, right? Physically. But when we started, yeah, the very first conference we did was in the fall, and I'll never forget it, man. We went and we practiced, we rehearsed, we did all this stuff, and we went to do the conference, and no one showed up. Like literally, not a single. Well, I take that back. There was one gentleman that showed up, and he came, and beside there were no kids that showed up, none of their parents, no one showed up. And so that was very challenging for us. And what I told everybody to do is I said, hey, look, we're going to run through this event just like we had practiced. We're going to do it just like it's a room full of people. And we did that, and we went down the hall. We were in this big convention center, and we went down the hall to the larger rooms. And I'll never forget it. We went down there to the larger rooms, man. And and I said, we're gonna pray. And we prayed, and we prayed to be able to, enlarge our territory, and that this would never happen again, and that we would have more people, and that we'd actually fill up the room that we were standing in. And to see about 3 years after that, we were actually filled up that particular room, that exact room that we were standing in. We were in that room and had filled it up. And then the next year, it was too big for that room, and we had to go to a whole other room. And so every year, it just keeps multiplying and getting bigger and bigger. But lots of challenges, man.
So, what's the biggest venue that you guys that you filled?
As far as the amount of kids that we've had,
Kids, participants, anything like that?
yeah, I mean, right now we have several thousand kids at any event. The one we're scheduled to do right before COVID hit was at the Georgia State Stadium. So that one would have held, we were estimating anywhere between 7 to 10,000 people.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, with COVID and the pandemic, how have you had to switch from in person events to virtual events?
Well, the when it comes to youth, I didn't do a whole lot of virtual events when it came to that. What we did instead is, we worked on the things that we were still doing. So, our self defense programs for women and children, we continued to do that. We still had our camp, because one of the things that we noticed was that in some of the pediatricians that we had spoke to talked about the importance of kids still being able to interact. And then we also have the You Can Have It All youth magazine, the youth motivational magazine. And that was the biggest thing that we did to, thwart, if you will, the lack of, physical interaction, is we created the magazine to get kids motivational development and something that actually is more, is further reaching than the conferences are.
So, whenever you were starting the conference and you've been going at it for a while, was there anything that you learned about setting together the conferences, about getting people in, that you didn't know when you first started out?
So it's all kind of stuff that I learned that I didn't know. A lot of logistical stuff, and I'm still learning today. As we go forward, just different things that we have to do. Every time you do a conference, you're going to learn something different, about yourself, about the event, about how to do the event. Every time, if you're paying attention, there'll always be something that you wish you could have done better. or something that you want to do next time. Some of the things I've learned, things like the importance of, keeping your schedule, right? Putting in buffer time in between speakers and events so that if you say, hey, look, we're going to start at, 2 o'clock and we're going to be finished at, 4 o'clock, that you're finished at 4 o'clock, being able to do that, not going over your time too much. We have learned things like, the importance of music, which was always important to our conferences, but infusing the music and the act, making sure that the people in the audience are that they're interacting. Our events are big on interaction, more on and big on engagement, as opposed to people just standing and sitting and being talked to. Adults don't like that. Kids definitely don't like it. So it's just a lot we learn.
So it's making sure that everyone connects with one another in such a way that it becomes more of a memory that they can hold with them rather than just a one time event.
Absolutely, because I mean, like we started doing dream boards, vision boards. One of the things we want to do this year is a big, vision board session. We've done them in the past so that they can take something away, um, because those are mementos, right, for the kids. Something that they might have in their room and put up on their wall that will inspire, a kid to say, hey, look, I want to be a doctor, and that will encourage them to continue to do it, or to be in film, right, or to do anything for them to be inspired. Our goal is for them to see what we're doing or to see something at the event and for it to carry over.
How do you put together a vision board? Is there a certain way that you do it, or is it just whatever order you think that you want to see things occur?
I think that it's whatever you can. I think with the vision board, a board, you can do it however you want. Everybody learns different. We all process different. So it's really the best way that works for you. So, for example, one person may say they want words. They may not need a lot of pictures. All right, fancy car, or let's just say a Bugatti, and they might say a mansion, and they might say a trip to Paris, and it could be all words, and that's good enough for one person. Person B might say, "Man, I don't need any words. I want all pictures." Person C might want a combination. Person D might want it all in chronological order. Right, first I want to get the Bugatti, then I want to get the house, and I want to get the vacations. Right, so it's really about what they want. The most important thing is that they do want, right? Or that they have something that motivates them.
Yeah, another thing about the vision board too is that it's also great for spiritual stuff. If you have a spiritual goal, it's really good for like in the morning you wake up and the first thing you see is the scripture on the wall or the quote from this person, and it then inspires you to live that day in that quote or in that scripture, and you act it out throughout the day. And
Absolutely.
so yeah, it's the vision boards are much more better than trying to remember it, because whenever you try to remember something, you usually forget because you have all this other stuff coming at you, so many different angles throughout the day in terms of responsibilities. So having a vision
Right.
board that you can then have something you can focus on. You can have something like if you want to just be a happier person, act happier, and you can also pair that along with something material if you want to.
Right. Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, it could be used for anything. I mean, whatever's important to you, and what's important different things are important to different people. And so, what's more important is that you have a vision, right? Or whatever a person can call it. I mean, a vision board, a dream card, whatever. What's more important is that you have it on there, and you're absolutely right. It can be used for so many different things. You can have more than one.
Yeah. Do you have a vision that you haven't yet seen but you think in some way is happening?
Yeah, absolutely. The part of the thing that we're doing with when we have several, I mean, just things we're doing with the orphanage. So the orphanages, you can have orphanage, and we have a vision to continue to grow that and to be able to develop the kids, and we definitely see it happening. I mean, it took years before we ever got our first, sponsor or don't person to donate to the orphanage. And so, we definitely are seeing it grow, and so that's good. The orphanage is in Uganda, East Africa. It's actually there. It's up and running right now. The orphanage is in Uganda, East Africa.
So is it doing well? Is it like I don't know, how do you determine whether or not an orphanage is doing well?
It's doing well. You determine whether or not an orphanage is doing well based on the happiness of the children, and are they beginning to get the things that they need to go to be productive in life. So right, so for example, in our orphanage, when it first started, there were no the kids didn't have any windows or any doors on the orphanage. They were sleeping on rocky floor. It was just brick walls, right? It wasn't right. And so now, we've got some walls painted, we've put windows in, we've gotten doors in. And so that, you know, creates a more comfortable situation for the kids to be able to, you know, be productive in life. We're getting beds put in. They actually started school on January the 10th. So we have kids starting to go back to school and be able to get an education, which in Uganda is critical to be able to get certain jobs, right? Like you can't even apply if you don't have an education. And so, that's kind of the gauge for is it is it better? I think that we'd almost become too self-righteous if we said, yeah, it's great. You know what I mean? And because you know it's the situation in itself is not great, right? That there are children that don't have parents, but I think that we can make it comfortable for them and for them to have a happy life and to be able to move on and be productive.
Yeah, and so even like supporting people in such a way that they can then go out and do the things that they dream of doing rather than having an idea that since they are from this area and that they've lived this way, this is the way that they will be living.
Right, right.
So, in terms of the education, is there something in the curriculum that is encouraging them to be be creative thinkers in terms of problem solving and learning how to just solve like world issues?
I think that that's something that we can aspire to. Those are the kinds of things that we want to do, to be able to get them to a place where they are doing that. I mean, a lot of that's in conversation with them at school, right? Because they go to school like how we do, and so they have those kinds of conversations, those kinds of discussions. Um, I think the more we're able to build the orphanage and get them where there's a lot more stability in their life, then you can have those conversations as far as a lot of other world issues. The biggest issue right now, they go, they play, they have a good time. They do soccer, they're in, band and different things like that. But, our priority is getting them the education they need so that they can go on to solve world issues.
Yeah. Have there been any tools or resources that you've used over the years that you would say really helped you to not just launch You Can Have It All, but also help it continue to thrive?
Absolutely. The biggest thing that's helped me is reading and listening to motivational information. My personal opinion is that I could do it more. That's one of the things that I strive to do now as an adult, is to do it on a daily basis, because for me it's something I need constantly pouring out, and you have to be able to get it back in to be able to fulfill your mission, right? Fulfill your goals and your dreams. But reading lots of books, listening to lots of positive information, has been the thing that has helped me the most.
Have there been any books that you have gotten a lot of information out of that you either read once, got the information, put it down, or that you keep on going back to continuously to glean more information?
Oh, there's lots of books like that I go through. I have books that I've highlighted so much that I just, and I'll go back, and now you've read them so much that now you go back, you kind of go back to the highlights. Sometimes you're reading, you'll find a new something new you didn't see. But books like The Magic of Thinking Big, books like Unlimited Power, books. I mean, the best book, to me, for me, that's helped me more than any book ever is the Bible. Books like Don't Let Anyone Steal Your Dream. I like Russell Simmons actually has two books that are really good. One is called Super Rich. The other one's called Do You. Those are two really good books. And the reason why I like his books, I can't remember which one it is. I've read them both. One talks about living in the present, and he talked about the importance of living in the present. So many times we're focused on, 10, 15 years down the road. And so we're so far there that we're not really enjoying where we are right now. We're not really, like this time is very precious. So I really like that. And then there's others. Let's see here. The Richest Man in Babylon is another really good book. Um, let's see what other really good books I have. Max Out by Ed Milet is an excellent book. You have Four Seasons by Jim Rohn. That's another really good book. It's different. Well, actually, it's called The Seasons of Life. I'm sorry, Jim Rohn's book is called The Seasons of Life, and that's really good because it just talks about just the different stages and relates it to business or in or development and how you want to be. You go through these different seasons and what you should be doing during that time. So
Yeah, that's one of my favorite books too, The Seasons of Life. In
yeah,
terms how
yeah,
every season there is something that needs to be done in
yep,
order not to just suffice to be sufficient for that season, but also
hmm,
to continue on to the next, to jumpstart you into
that's
the
right,
next season. Yeah,
that's right, that's right.
yeah. You got to use
It's
your your summers are your summers. You got to prepare your summers for the winter. So then that way you're
that's
not
right,
losing your daylight and your sunshine in the summer to
right,
stupid stuff, and then in the
right.
winter time you're then freezing in the cold.
Yeah,
So yeah.
and I like the idea of this because with the summer, he talks about protecting what you've sown right from the
Yeah.
springtime, right, and how it just ultimately challenges are a part of life. But you're going to have these challenges, you're going to have these issues, and one thing he said that really stuck with me was to sow, or well, he didn't say sow, but plant your seeds massively, and it's massively and intelligently, just so it's get a lot out there, right? To the point where the rocks and the thorns can't take up all your seed because you got so much out there, something's gonna stick, right? It's kind of like the idea if you throw enough crap against the wall, something will stick. It's that same idea, which I think is so true.
Yeah, you just gotta get as much as you said, as much out there
Yep,
as you can. It's also good for ideas. If you have an idea, just write it
absolutely.
down and then keep on writing down all the ideas, and then eventually one of them will
Hmm.
make sense and be something that you can then continue to work on down the road.
Absolutely.
So, has there been any challenges in your personal life that you would say informed who you are today?
Yeah. Uh, lots of them. I think every challenge we have, kind of forms you in a different way. Several that were, kind of monumental in my, I had one when my aunt and my cousin were murdered, domestic violence situation. That was one that was really big because it really kind of rocked our family. But it also, what it allowed me to do once I got older was to do something in their honor that I had always wanted to do. which was to create, a business that would help other women and children to protect themselves. And so, I was able to do that. And and then also just, having it have been has been probably the most life-changing moments in life, because you in a good way, you realize that there's it's really not about you and your motivation and determination to do things exponentially increases, right? Because it's very easy to get comfortable if it's just you, right? Okay, I'm hungry. Well, I don't want to go get anything to eat. I'll just eat, a bologna sandwich, or, peanut butter and jelly or whatever, if it's just you. But when you have kids, if you're doing it right, then, they can't eat bologna and peanut butter and jelly every day. I mean, you gotta get up and make something happen. And so it's just that motivation that you get. And so part of what I'm doing now, is part of what motivates me now, is that I want my children to see that you can do whatever it is that you set your mind to. And I think that that's a powerful example, because whatever they want to do, they can do it. You don't have to be like dad, right? Be yourself, but it's possible that you can be the best version of yourself if you put your mind to it.
Yeah, and it's also the idea, like as you said, if you if you focus on it like really really hard, and then you do actions that follow in that focus, then you can achieve that thing that you focus on.
Absolutely. Absolutely, man. Absolutely.
Yeah. So, what is your favorite passage?
I have several. One I really enjoy right now is, well, I got several. God's way is perfect is one. It's the Proverbs, because I truly believe that. That's another one. God is a lamp to your feet and a light to your path. Another one is, with God, nothing is impossible. That one's in. Those are some that just really, really kind of speak to me right now, more so, but that I'll lean on all the time. One that I really like, I could do all things through Christ who strengthens me, I think is if I had to say it was my favorite, or one that is a cure all. Use that in any situation.
Yeah.
That cure all scripture for you would be that one, or like I said, with God, nothing is impossible. And 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 I like to. I mean, I lean hard on that. I lean hard on the word, and make it do what it is that it says it's going to do, by just trusting, right? Like, it's no special thing I do. It's just, I really, when I in a situation where I'm, stressed or dealing with something, it's like, nah, man, hey, he's a lamp to my feet, he's a light to my path. He's gonna show me which way to go. Let me back up. Let me get out the way. Hey, with God, nothing's impossible. Okay, we're gonna find this thing we need. It's gonna work out. Or if it doesn't work out how I wanted to, it wasn't supposed to. There's something, and that's something that I always try to lean on as well. And
Yeah.
that's the God's way is perfect scripture that I try to lean on.
So, in terms of you starting, it is you can have it all. You also started Camp Warrior King. Now, how did Camp Warrior King come about, and where are you guys with that right now?
Camp Warrior King started pretty much out of a need. We were doing the martial arts. I was doing the martial arts classes during the school year. During the summertime, there wasn't any schools, because I was primarily working my classes out of public schools. So we needed to be able to generate revenue during the summertime, and then also there was this need for, how do we continue to develop these kids. And so it started out that way. It started out, first camp I did was a spring camp for a week in spring break, and I did a martial arts camp. And the parents, were interested in doing something for the summer, and said, hey, instead of 1 week, do you mind doing 10? And you know, we said, okay, all right, well, let's go ahead and do it, and we did. And it's been, for the camp itself, it's been it'll be 10 years next year. that we've been doing Camp Warrior King, and it's just been a blast. And I say that because, initially I didn't want to work with kids. Initially, I didn't have a passion at all to work with youth. It wasn't something I was interested in. I couldn't stand kids, and so here I am, all these years later, working with kids and talking about how fun it is to actually do these camps. And so where we are now is we're getting, geared up for summertime, getting geared up for our ninth year at Camp Warrior King, and really excited about it. The kids have a great time. We have a great time. We have all kind of fun stuff in store that we're going to do this summer. There's always some kind of cool surprise that not only surprises the kids but surprises us, and we're just really looking forward to it.
So, what types of martial arts do you guys teach?
I am a Hapkido and Taekwondo instructor by trade. So that's pretty much, but now, it's, kids are more into mixed martial arts. They're more into, more art forms, if you will, just because of what they're seeing on TV, right? You have UFC, you got all this stuff out there. So now we try to create, more of a mixed martial arts atmosphere because it's more fun for the kids and their interest level. It keeps their interest a lot more than some of the more traditional arts.
Did you ever compete competitively, internationally or nationally?
No, no, I didn't. Nah, that wasn't my thing, man. I give kudos to any of the guys that like to go and get into a cage or a ring and compete on a national or international level. That's not my bag at all.
So, how did you find yourself learning Hapkido was it in order to teach these children, or was it simply something personal to you?
It was something personal to me. My mom put me in martial arts to keep me, just like with most kids, you want to have discipline and structure and, and not be doing stupid stuff. And so that's why I got in there. And I always enjoyed it. It was something I always enjoyed to do as a kid. Stuck with it as an adult. And about 2008, when the market started changing, I been doing martial arts, of course, for a while at that point. And a buddy of mine said, "Hey, look, man, maybe we should start teaching some classes. We can actually make some extra money, some side money, teaching martial arts classes." And I was like, "Ah, man, that sounds like a pretty cool idea. Let's try it out." And so we tried it out, and we worked real good, had a great time. And then, he actually went into film, doing like being a double for like in movies and stuff, doing action movies. And I started the program and started working with youth. Yeah.
So, when you were setting up this self defense classes,
Mm-hmm.
did you learn anything in terms of organizational skills, of creating the area, how to deal with clients? Was there anything that you learned from that you then carried into You Can Have It All?
Oh, geez, man, absolutely. There was so much I learned from that. I mean, looking back at it, that was the catalyst. That was, you know, God will, it's like training ground. You get training ground, right? It talks about don't despise humble beginnings, right? Or small beginnings. And the martial arts was my opportunity to have great interaction with parents, to learn a lot about how to work with them and work with their kids. Because again, I didn't have any of that knowledge. That wasn't something that I wanted to do. I didn't go to school for that. And so it taught me a lot and allowed me to get a lot of practice, make a lot of mistakes to be able to go to these other levels.
Also, the benefit of martial arts, as you said, was the discipline and
Oh yeah,
also focus.
absolutely, absolutely.
When was that moment that you realized that this is something that I'm doing and this is what I love?
I think that moment happens for me on a daily basis. I think that I mean, because every day it's like, man, I really love what I do. I'm thankful that I get to do it, and it's like, okay, I want to keep doing this. This is something I want to do the rest of my life. And I mean, every day isn't lollipops and rainbows, right? But but you, but most days you have this feeling of, okay, this is really cool. I think I think that what I may do. 10, 15 years from now, 20 years from now, 30 years from now, I would love to still be running, a camp and to still have magazines and all that stuff. But I'm sure I'll be, doing some other things as well. I think if I answer the question correctly, it would be I wanted to be free from a job. That was my preference. I wanted to be a business owner. I believe in the idea of free enterprise. I believe in the idea of being able to own your own time and to be able to call your own shots, which means that you also got to take you got to take risk, right? And get shot at and take the bumps and bruises. But I preferred that over, for me, working, in a job or a place I didn't want to be. I wanted to be outside and go when I wanted to. And so that happened. It was about 2011 that I had left the job for a second time because I, tried to step out on my own and did some things, and the market changed. I had to go back, right? And about 2011 was when I was really able to, say, "Hey, look, I'm, never going back to working for somebody else." And I had a letter in my bathroom actually that I would read every day. It was my resignation letter. And I would read that letter, and I promised myself that I was going to take it off of my wall and give it to my boss. And I actually took the off my wall and handed it to him and was like, "Man, I'm out of here." Yeah.
Well, Shaun, this has been an incredible conversation. If I have one more question for you, and that
Sure.
is if you had the ability to send a worldwide text, what would your message be?
Bye, you can have it all magazine. I'm not even playing. It would be trying to buy the magazine. I mean, that like for real, yeah, it would be. I mean, it would be, hey, buy this magazine. Is what it would be. If right now, if I could send a worldwide text to every person in the world, it would be go to you can have it all dot magazine.com or YCHIA mag.com and buy a copy of the magazine.
Why
That's
would
what it
that
would
be
be.
your text?
It would be my text for several reasons. It would, one, because the the magazine is good. It's an amazing magazine. It builds self-efficacy and self-confidence in youth. I believe that it is the most powerful tool out to do that for children, second to the word. And I believe that it's going to continue to make an impact. And that's one. Second, because of what I would be able to do with the revenue, I would be able to continue to build our programs, to be able to build orphanages around the world, which is one of the things that I want to do, to be able to help more youth, to be able to help more children, be able to donate more to the things that I be able to, just do a lot of positive and great things with the revenue that I see out here that I want to do.
Well, Shaun, thank you so much for this wonderful conversation.
Yeah, thank you, Moses. I appreciate it, man. I really do. I really appreciate it. I know you weren't expecting that one. I appreciate it, bro.
Yeah, truth be told, I wasn't, but
Yeah.
it's a really good text though.
Yeah, yeah, bro. Hey, yes, sir.
Well, thank you,
Yeah.
Shaun.
Man, Moses, thank you, man. I appreciate it, brother.